Okay, good afternoon, good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Excellent.
Okay, now do I need to tap this?
Okay, start video.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, hey, how are
How
you?
you doing? I'm doing well.
Good. So I will let you know I am recording now.
Okay.
Can you see
Can
me?
you see me well?
I can see you perfectly
Okay, perfect.
and I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to get started with this evening's discussion, which is
This evening's discussion is going to pretty much talk about um, making choices, making decisions, making adjustments, pretty much the adjustments of this COVID thing. I always call this the adjustment.
the adjustments. Okay. All right. So what adjustments have you made because of what is
Well,
going on?
let's go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
Um, Not too long ago, I lost my father. You know,
Mhm.
June 15th, I found him. Found him dead in his room, and pretty much it shifted my entire world. You know, what it did was it put me in a predicament where now that my normal has been disrupted, and that's my coaching normal. Um, and that's what pretty much took place. And what it did was, this was the first family member that I lost since I've been divorced. You know, significant family member, and I'm not talking about an old aunt that's 100 years old or Uncle Buford or somebody like that. That's not the same. This was an actual parent of mine that I lost, and I had to do it alone. So what I did was, my normal was staying busy coaching. So right after my father had passed away, I went to our conference track and field championships. Where we won
Mhm.
5 gold medals. That kept my normal going. Um, a couple of weeks later, we started this pandemic thing, and I had already started therapy, grieving therapy that I started already. And we had a physical meeting. We talked, and I got everything as much as I can out.
Mhm.
The second meeting I had was over the phone, and she pretty much told me that I made all the adjustments I needed to make. We don't need to have a third meeting, so that's what we did. Um, then each day with this COVID-19, I had to be home. So my sense of normalcy of being busy, that was taken away from me. You
Mhm.
know, working, all the things that I'm doing, I had replaced my life with being busy and me being home. Okay, for the first couple of nights, it wasn't as bad. So I clean up my house. I can rearrange some things and put stuff in order properly and do all that. And then guess what? After a while, I got other things to do for a whole week. After a week, I was like, I ain't got no more projects,
Mhm.
and I was left to think about what I'm trying to avoid. And by avoiding those things, being married, being divorced now,
Mhm.
my children not coming here, not visiting, um, me doing all kinds of things that pretty much kept me, my sense of normalcy being taken. So what I had left, I had to face those demons now,
Mhm. I
and
think
that's what happened. Go ahead.
I was telling you that I'm reading a book and oh, I don't have it near me, but it's called Feeding Your Demons. I have actually posted on the Get Your Vision On page. And so what you're talking about really falls in line a lot with what I've been reading about in terms of s- stepping up and facing the problems that are in front of you and dealing with them. And I think this whole situation with the coronavirus, COVID-19, has done the same thing for me too. I was very busy before this, and now I've had time to slow down and to uh, think about my life and really reflect upon a lot of things that have happened in my life through the years,
Hmm.
since childhood all the way up to now. So I can definitely relate to what you're talking about.
And the other thing was, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I have friends that contact me and talk to me about life and situations and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And one of the things was, somebody asked me, well, how in the world are you dealing with this so quickly? Because I coach. Um, my job is to be an integrator to my athletes, whether it be collegiate or professional. And
Mhm.
when you're coaching professional athlete, it gives you little room for excuses
Mhm.
when you're coaching pro athletes,
Mhm.
um, because you got to step to their level and hold them accountable. Then they're gonna do the same thing and hold you accountable. So it's very difficult to hide those type of demons without it being exposed, because you have the integrity of telling them what they need to do, and you had to hold yourself to that same value.
Mhm.
So what I did was, that was one of the reasons why I went to grieving therapy. I couldn't do this without saying anything, you know, um, because my pain was pronounced,
Mhm.
and I couldn't let it linger about my father's death. I had to figure out, why am I not crying? I had to figure out, why am I not acting this way? Why am I treating my athletes this way that really can care less, so to speak? They 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 come to understand that you lost somebody and they feel bad for you, but they cannot relate, because that is not their parent they lost. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? My sister's all the way up in Delaware. I don't have anybody that can share that grief.
Mhm.
My children are not here. They're not here asking me different kind of questions. So I had to get my answers quickly. So that's why I went to grieving counseling. I didn't go through, well, I talk it out with my sister and my mom, and I cry a little bit. And somebody had really suggested I watch this particular movie, and that particular scene gave me the opportunity to grieve, because I couldn't hide it anymore,
Mhm.
you know. And so with being a coach, my standards are high because I don't have time to let it linger. So with this thing here, I had to start coming out with more truth. I had to start answering my questions
Mhm. Can you
without trying to
explain
hide
more
them.
about what that means, answering your questions? Because people may not understand what that means.
Well, for me, answering my own question is figuring out what it is that I am looking for.
Mhm.
Okay. A best friend of mine was the first one that told me many years ago about answering your questions. And he said, pretty much, when you become a master, get your master's degree, okay, these are the way that you found the answers to your questions. So when you write your master's, I think it's is it a master's
Jesus, yeah.
thesis? Thank you, your thesis
Mhm.
for your master's, and then you have your doctoral dissertation.
Mhm.
You research information to answer what you have found to be your truth. You
Mhm.
know, so when I'm looking for what my truth is, I have to look and find out how to answer my own questions. But then I also had to learn how to ask myself my own questions as well. What kind of questions do I want to answer?
Mhm.
So this situation here put me in a position to figure it out. You know, being this COVID-19 situation, being that, okay, you can only do but so many projects that are around the house. Okay, well, you can only fix certain doors, you can plant enough flowers, you can mow the lawn, you can mop your floor, and do all the things that you can do to stay busy. But what are you going to do when it's time for you to answer your own questions?
Yes,
It's something
that's
that most
important.
people don't want to do.
Yeah, most
And
people don't wanna face themselves.
no, they
And
don't want to face themselves. And I
mhm.
hid for years. I hid behind coaching.
Mhm.
I hid my pain behind coaching. I hid behind my pain when I was an athlete at Arizona.
Mhm.
You know, I hid behind my own pain when I was at Oakcrest High School, when in Jersey, when I went undefeated. I mean, all of those things happened because I found something that nobody could take from me.
Mhm.
You know, and once I found it, I kept it. And what happened was, as time went on, I began to start watching that I was replacing my own demons with substance,
Mhm.
thinking that you can get married. Well, remember, if I have somebody that I find that loves me back,
Mhm.
or if I find something that I love to do, like play golf. I love to play golf, but I can't hide my demons behind a golf tournament.
Right.
So if I'm not coaching, I got to go play golf. I got to find something to stay busy. And this thing has taught me that, okay, you can't stay busy in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Myrtle Beach. Ain't nobody at the beach. You know, I want to go. Okay, I can go play golf, but it's not going to answer my questions. So right now, I'm not doing that. And then also, when I wrote my book,
Mm-hmm.
when I was writing my book, I was writing my book out of pain, not out of what I can do. I was writing my book pretty much out of, I've done all of these things here, and why am I listening to everyone else saying who I am not?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote 12 chapters in 2 months.
Wow.
I was aggressive as I was writing because I was doing it out of pain. I was doing it out of all the things I've done successfully and all the people that said I couldn't do it and things of that nature. So I did that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that became, and then when I wanted to be a motivational speaker, and I've done like 5 or 6 different speaking engagements, and I said, well, I'm ready to get into that. But what it came to was, you're hiding in your success. I can't hide in success anymore.
Mm.
So is it the money that I made with working with NFL players? Was that enough? No. Was it being on the sidelines of an NFL tryout at the physical site? No. Going with an NFL player, flying with a multimillionaire. All of these things were substance, but they were lies that I was hiding behind because I didn't want to face who I really was. And
Mm.
what it was me being upset about how much I gave up my power.
Mm.
That's what I was upset with. I was pissed that I gave up so many things for everyone else
Mm.
without making it a requirement for you to be in my personal space.
I love that. I love that. Giving up your personal power. I mean, that is something that I definitely can relate to, and I've done, and then now I'm aware of, just like you are. I mean,
Yeah.
um, and just that statement right there. And then there was something else that you talked about that I want to touch on when you were talking about the importance of actually seeking actual help. A lot of people are going through a lot of things right now, and they're losing people that are significant and important to them. However, they are not seeking out grief counseling. I don't think a lot of people are. Um, what was your process? How did you go about
I
knowing?
went about it with a friend of mine who's a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, when I first was going through my separation with my wife, I've known this guy since 1987, so we go back a long ways. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was a life coach, so he was like, I was his guinea pig when he first started life coaching, and the things that he learned, he would practice on me. And I had called him about a certain situation that took place, and I lashed out. And he said, "Have you ever thought about going to grief counseling?" I was like, "Heck no, man. Black folks don't do that, you know."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I think you may want to consider that." And what he was telling me, some of the things that I was coming out that was not being said, that I would only say to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And my job offered it for free. They pretty much offer uh, free, 3 free counseling sessions
Mm-hmm.
that was paid through the job because I work for the South Carolina Department of Education. And by me being in that, I didn't want to do it, you know. But when the lady started asking me questions, and the way I found my dad, she almost started crying. She's a counselor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what people don't understand is, until you start talking about it, you don't realize how much is up inside of you before you tell somebody your story.
Mm-hmm.
When I was writing my book 4 years ago, I was telling my story through words. I was writing out my frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
So, in so many words, that was my therapy. And I said, wait a minute, do I want to produce a book based off of my pain? Or do I want to just tell my story? So then I scale back, you know. Going to grief counseling was a thing that it was the how some people say the camel that broke the straw's back. I had nowhere else to hide anymore
Mm-hmm.
when my dad died, you know. So I was at my wit's end. I had to do something because I can't coach in this state. I could not coach in the mindset that I was in at that time. I couldn't do it. It wasn't going to work. So I had to answer my own questions by doing something about it. And that's the next thing I want to say real quick. I had nowhere else to go. And if I am going to be as good as a coach that I want to be, if I'm going to coach athletes internationally, if I'm going to coach Olympians, if I'm going to train NFL players for the draft, then my truth has to be transparent. So in order for my truth to be transparent, I had to go to someone and get out whatever was inside of me so I can continue on in the way I was. Now, being this COVID-19 thing has taken place, now I'm doing things, social distancing. I'm doing a lot more conference calls over video chats. I'm coaching athletes from pretty much text messaging. I'm having video sent back to me. But the thing is that it was the presence of other people that I needed. It was the people that I needed to be around that kept reminding me that I could do something else besides grieve.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being in this situation where I was home for 2 straight weeks, and for 4 of those 2 straight weeks, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in a house. And enough no wasn't enough Netflix to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't enough phone calls that I could make because the fact of the matter is I had no other choice. And I said, okay, enough is enough. Something's got to change. I had to remind myself who I was and why I am the way I am.
Can you
I
say
had to
that
remind
again? Say that again.
I had to remind myself and who I was and why I'm the way I am.
And then that's a message that I definitely want to make sure we get across to our future viewers, people that are going to be watching this after we finish this Zoom talk. You have to constantly remind yourself daily of who you are. And
Yes.
again, some people don't know who they are, and it's situations like this and and challenging times like this that make you figure out who you are. If you're paying attention, if you're not caught up in self-pity, because
no, because
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you don't know. Like, for instance, me, I was very good at what I did
Mm-hmm.
when it came to coaching. But it was my private life when I closed my door and I had to face who I was. That's the person I didn't want to face.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in your personal space around women, if you're around your personal space around men, who are you? You know, and what I had to realize is that I gave up my power to appease others. So when I asked for that 10% of me to go be an athlete, to go coach, that's all I asked for. But 90% of me was appeasing others.
So how do you
And
get to
now,
the point? How do you get to the point where now that 90% that you were giving to other people and you were giving away your power, how do you get to the point that you start focusing on yourself and
because
directing
I
your
couldn't lie to myself anymore.
mm-hmm.
And you start changing by telling people no.
I love that word.
You know, my pastor
That's
says
my
no is a
favorite
powerful
word.
word.
No.
And no is a powerful word.
And it's a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Hello.
And somebody said, well, I want you to do this. No, I can't do that.
Mm-mm.
Can I borrow this amount of money? No, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
No. Now, am I being a person where I'm being funny? No, I'm not being funny. If I know you need it, I'll send it to you. Somebody said, well, let me get $200 for the stimulus check. No, you can't get a check.
Mm-hmm.
No is a powerful word.
Mm-hmm.
And what it meant was, in my personal space,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm being funny. It really comes down to, well, let's see what happens first. And they get through it.
And people
And
always do. And some people need to learn how to stand in their own on their own without without constant support. I mean, I could think of
no,
a couple of friends that are like that. Um, they struggle with trusting their own thoughts and their own intuition about things. And that's one
I
thing that I am learning is to really trust myself more. Um,
I force my athletes to that.
mhm,
I hold my athletes accountable and say, well, coach, I don't trust myself. So what? Fall.
mhm,
If I got an athlete that's running hurdles, okay, I know she can do the 3 count over hurdles. I know she can. But I might fall. So then fall. Because see, now when you fall, you have no excuses that you can't get back up.
mm,
Because the fear is behind you now. When most people fall, they don't realize they fall. They fall and get right back up, don't even realize it happened.
mhm,
But the people that don't believe in themselves, they just lay there and think something's broken.
mm,
And it's not broken. You didn't hurt yourself. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You feel so embarrassed that it happened. You don't want it. You need pity for somebody to come grab you and pick you up off the floor.
mhm,
Now, if you put all the work in and you're dead, you done did all the workouts you had to do today, and you just flat out busted. Okay, you did it. You're flat out done. You can't get back up. I'll reach my hand out to help you because you gave me everything.
mm,
But if you tripped and fall, no, I'm not gonna walk over there and help you get up. You're not a baby.
mm.
Get up.
That's a good
Now,
analogy.
yes,
That is a good analogy.
yes,
I mean, I used to hear the saying, God helps those who help themselves. You ever heard that one
yes,
before?
yes.
Um, and I remember my mom and my grandma used to say that all the time. But there is some truth. There's a lot of truth to that. People don't mind helping you if you at least attempt to help yourself. And
Yes.
I think a lot of people just um, don't try to help themselves, or maybe they don't recognize that they even need help. That's another
When
issue.
I went to grief counseling,
Mhm.
I gave myself no more excuses. What I
Mm,
did not want to do, I didn't want the grief counseling to become a pity party.
mhm,
I needed to get through the key points of what was bothering me, and that's enough. Let me tell you what I mean by that. When I had knee surgery 10 years ago, and they gave me this very strong medication, like something that other people have become addicted to. And I wanted a refill. And the doctor said, no, you don't need it. You know, and the thing is, what I had to understand when I came to grief counseling, I needed to do it enough so I can get back to normal. I did not want it to be where I become a monthly pity party and
mm,
I'm paying somebody an X amount of money when I could just figure it out. Just take my chances. If I'm wrong and I'm wrong, so what?
mhm,
When I talk to my son, I don't care about you falling, but I do care that you don't try.
mhm,
I care about that you don't try. That bothers me if you don't want to try because now you're telling me that you have a handicap and you're not handicapped.
mhm,
So what it comes to, it's not that the therapy supposed to expose how handicapped you are. The therapy is supposed to give you the information that you're not asking yourself and other people can see,
and actually
you
show
know.
you your strengths and show you that you can do this. You can do it, and it really
Exactly.
comes from you. All your answers come from you. Um,
Right.
we've been on for a little while, so do you think, let's see, any parting wisdom, any parting thoughts you want to share?
The parting wisdom I always tell most people to put yourself in position of demand. You know
Hmm,
what I'm saying? If you put yourself in position of demand, that means you're holding yourself accountable for you. You're walking through your own door,
mm,
okay, of success. Don't hold on to someone else who is successful. And while they're walking through the door, you need to attach themselves to go through that door because you don't think you're gifted enough.
mm,
Go through your own door, see what gifting you have on the other side of the door. Then you know who you are as a person, not to what other people are doing. So when I say put yourself in position of demand, hold yourself accountable for your gift. Don't beg
Mm,
anybody for anything,
mm, I
and
like
you'll
that.
be successful.
I like that. Well, thank you, Mr. Anthony Washington,
I
uh,
appreciate it.
uh, track coach at Newberry.
Columbia International University.
Thank you, Columbia International University.
Yeah,
And I'm looking forward to having more conversations with
sure.
more of our Get Your Vision On members. Well, thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.